Hi, this is Trade Pastor. I wanted to do a review of Daredevil Season 3. I definitely, I was debating on whether to do spoilers, but I gotta do spoilers because I have to talk about things that happen in it. And I really enjoyed Season 3 of Daredevil. I started watching it Friday night, and I watched the first couple of episodes, and I think up to episode 4, and then I started watching more on Saturday, and I was going to watch it again, some of it, but football came Sunday, so I said, I watched episode 8, and then I said, you know what, let me just do it during the course of the week. I'll just, when I come home from work, I'll watch 2 hours here, and just, watch, and I'll be done with it in 2 days or something. Maybe do a review on Wednesday or whatever. But I got caught up watching it on Monday night, and I just watched it all the way through from episode 8 to 13 to the end, and it's I've always thought this, and I've said this before in other reviews of Daredevil, and when I talk about Iron Fist and Luke Cage, even Jessica Jones. Daredevil is the best show to me, Netflix superhero show. It is. It just is. It's just absolutely a fantastic show. The casting of it, the writing of it, the acting of it, it's just absolutely top notch, and it's just one of the better TV shows ever. And full disclosure, I read Daredevil comic books, Frank Miller's run, growing up. I read his run, and which I absolutely loved. The Frank Miller Daredevil run. It was actually one of my favorite comic books. Growing up, those comic books, I love those, and I think I still have them somewhere in there in my closet full of comic books. But I absolutely loved it. And anyway, season 1 of Daredevil I thought was fantastic. They established the characters. Charlie Cox, who I only knew at that point from Broadwalk Empire, uh, is the hitman that was in love with the head guy's wife, Steve Buscemi's wife, uh, and he died a kind of horrible death in a box. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, he's firmly established who Daredevil was. Matt Murdock, the attorney who grew up in Hell's Kitchen. His father was battling Jack Murdock, who wouldn't take a dive and basically got killed. He raised his son, and at that point, and I knew all the history of that and stuff, and so, but it perfectly played out on season 1 of Daredevil, and I absolutely loved it. And I just thought it was one of the best. Him, Charlie Cox, the actors that play Foggy Nelson and Karen Page, I thought were absolutely fantastic. They even had good supporting characters. Ben Urich, uh, Vincent D'Onofrio, who was one of my absolute favorite actors of all time, as the Kingpin. Just Wilson Fisk. I just absolutely loved the show. I absolutely loved the show, and I thought the first season was absolutely fantastic. And that just really got me super hyped for the Netflix, to watch the Netflix lows, and I absolutely loved it. Now season 2 was okay, but I thought it kind of dipped in quality. I think they went try to go a little bit too mystical. I think with introducing Elektra, which I didn't mind Elektra because she's one of my favorite characters, but I thought the old hand and all that stuff, I think they got a little bit too metaphysical and all that stuff. I love the character of Stick, played by Scott Glenn. I loved him, but I thought season 2 wasn't as good as season 1. But and then of course there was the Defenders and all that stuff. But season 3, of course, I was so looking forward to it after all the other shows and stuff. I was looking to see how they would bring Matt Murdock back, and of course they did. They basically had him survive the explosion. Of course, Elektra was nowhere to be found, mind you, but he survived the season, and the building collapsed, and of course he was rescued and brought to the church, and of course there you see he meets the father, that I forgot the guy's name, the priest that he's always been talked to since season 1. Okay, when he had crisis of faith, who he actually grew up in that orphanage after his father died, and this is his confidant, and of course he gets taken to there, and then he meets this sister Maggie, who we find out later. Again, this is spoilers. We find out later is his mother. Okay, but of course he doesn't know that at first, and she's this tough nun who speaks her mind plainly and all this stuff, and she heals him. She actually takes care of him until he heals his injuries, because at first he can't really he's kind of deaf in one ear literally, and he's suffering from the injuries from the collapse and stuff, and then he slowly builds himself back up. But of course at the same time Wilson Fisk is manipulating and I mean his character is manipulating the FBI so he can get out. He's basically wants to make a deal and says basically he's going to basically turn in his criminal cohorts for a corporation. He even sets it up to get himself. And the way the character is written in this show, and Vincent, the Kingpin, he is scary how powerful he is and how he just absolutely manipulates people to do things for him. And basically, he manipulates members of the FBI to basically get himself taken out of prison and put into a penthouse. Okay, a penthouse of his choosing, of course, naturally, a place that he has especially designed. Okay, so he can go about basically rebuilding his empire and getting the things that he lost back, including his wife Vanessa, who's basically, was deported. Okay, and into this season 3, we get introduced to a famous character. When I first saw the trailer for season 3, the full trailer for season 3, there was one particular incident that you see in the trailer where basically you see Daredevil. It looks like Daredevil is in this in this newspaper office that Karen works at. He's basically attacking people, and he basically throws his I forgot what they call his device. I forgot what they call it. Basically to kill basically Foggy Nelson, and it gets caught by Matt Murdock, who's wearing his little black scarf over his thing, so to hide his identity. Okay, and he catches it, and you see him circling. Yeah, the guy that's dressed up as as Daredevil, and he basically asks, "Who are you?" And the fake Daredevil says, "I'm Daredevil." Of course, it took me a minute, but then I realized that I didn't read much about what was going to go on. I just knew Matt was going to get resurrected in season 3, of course, obviously, but I didn't know that they were putting in this character, and then that's when I realized, just because of the way this character was throwing things around, I said, wait a minute, that's Bullseye. And sure enough, that character gets introduced here. They even introduce his backstory. As a little bit, they spent, I think it was an episode where they kind of introduced his backstory, so about how this character, I think this case, Agent Poindexter, I forgot the first name of it, but is Agent Poindexter. And of course, this character obviously is psychologically screwed up. He's basically a sociopath, basically is what he is. Okay, he likes to kill things and doesn't feel, and plus he's deadly accurate. He can hit basically anything he aims at, and he knows how to throw things on angles to hit things. He's that good. Okay, but he's also, like I said, he's just a sociopath. And basically they introduce you to his background and how, at a young age he killed his mentor, his coach, and he's basically brought into therapy, and he had a therapist that kind of, talked him through and went through sessions with him to try to get him to act normal, and he actually succeeded in doing this, and he actually, to try to keep himself sane, and actually she was fitting to die, it got to a point where she was going to die because of failing health, and he was worried about what would become of him, that he would go back to reverting to be a killer again. But of course she told him, take the tapes from our sessions, and anytime you feel that you're losing your way, listen to the tapes. And that's what this said. But he because of certain circumstances that happen in the episode, specifically when they get attacked, okay, and he gets blamed for the attack with the Albanians basically attack Kingpin for ratting them out, okay, and he winds up basically saving his fellow FBI agents and stuff, and saving Kingpin, okay, but he gets, the FBI uses him as a scapegoat and suspends him, okay, and of course he's vulnerable, and of course Kingpin, being the master manipulator that he is, he sees this guy's weakness, and he is, if not thorough, he knows how, he digs into his background, and he knows just how to push Agent Poindexter, how to push him and push him to the edge and push him to the point where he can manipulate him and get him to dress up like Daredevil and commit atrocities, okay, and if it wasn't for Matt Murdock, it would be even worse if left unchecked. If this guy, if the actor who plays Agent Poindexter, aka Bullseye, is so good in this, you really feel his character's, his pain, his angst, and again, that's good casting to me on this part, and kudos to the actor. I think his name is Wilson Berthal, something like that. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to mispronounce his name or whatever, but I think that's his name. But he is so good as Agent Poindexter, aka Bullseye, and they actually show you great scenes of him actually when he's fighting. There's a great scene in episode, I think it's four. I think it's four. I think it's four where he's battling Daredevil in, Matt Murdock and the fake Daredevil, aka Bullseye. They're battling in the office, where Karen works at, and he's basically bouncing things off a thing, and Daredevil has to duck and avoid those things. And there's another great scene where Daredevil. Okay, all right, fine. There's another character which I forgot to mention. I guess it's called Agent Nadine. He's the guy that basically is in charge of Wilson Fisk and getting him, getting him these deals and stuff to cooperate and bring in more, so he's the agent in charge of all that. Okay, and basically he gets used, and we find out later that Wilson Fisk even put in motion a plan to get this guy. It basically, what I love about Vince, the Kingpin character, he has so many plans working at the same time, and it just seems like he's got something on everybody, and he knows exactly how to use those things, and it really plays out beautifully. And Agent Nadine, who's a really straight shooter, he gets basically put into a situation where basically he has to go along with Kingpin being in charge of everything, because he gets put into a position when he finds out that Agent Poindexter really is corrupt and dirty and working for the Kingpin. He tries to tell his boss, but then he finds out that his boss is corrupted by Kingpin as well. Okay, and the look on his face, that actor who played Agent Nadine, the look on his face when that moment happens, when he realizes, when he goes to his bosses to try to tell them the truth about that we've been manipulated, and he finds out that his boss is already compromised, and she kills her boss in front of him, and it just the look on his face, it's just absolutely that's, first of all, it's great acting by him, and just great the way it plays out, and you drop your mouth, because Kingpin he's like the master manipulator. He's already thought of his plans, and he has so much things on everybody that they have no choice but to go along with it. Okay, except for one person, and that person is Matt Murdock. He doesn't care, and he reaches a point where he says, "Screw this! I'm going to kill Kingpin. That's the only way to stop him." He has so many people in his pocket. Okay, he feels, listen, I'm going to have to kill this guy, because this guy, he knows who I really am, and he threatens people that I love, and I'm going to have to. He's threatening my city. I'm going to have to kill this guy, because he is so corrupt and has so many people in his pocket and manipulating them and willingly go along with him, aka Agent Poindexter, that Matt Murdock reaches a point where he says, "Screw this! I'm going to kill this guy." Okay, and he's determined. He's said, "Listen, the only way to stop this guy is I got to kill him." And there's a great, I think it's episode 4. When I said the fight with Bullseye, I think that's an episode 5. I think, I'm not sure about that, but I think it's episode 3, or is it 3 or 4? I'm not sure about this which episode it's in, where Matt Murdock goes to where he reveals himself, I think in episode 3, to Foggy, okay, that he's alive, and he basically steals his ID, and he goes to prison to kind of meet. He wants to meet with the Albanians and find out exactly why Fisk turned on them, and so. And what winds up happening is one of the great. Now, you've had these hallway fights before in Daredevil, but this time you get a prison fight, okay, with Matt Murdock in prison, pretending to be Foggy Nelson, but basically Kingpin knows he's there. He even comes on the monitor when Matt is basically, locked in a room on lockdown, and basically tells him, because he threatened Vanessa when he went to visit him. I think in episode 2, season 2, he went to visit Kingpin briefly, and he said, "I cannot abide by that." And basically, he basically is having the whole prison. Basically, he takes a hit out on Matt Murdock, and he basically has to fight his way basically through a prison on lockdown to get out. And it's an intense, one of the, again, more fantastic scenes ever. And again, they know how to do action scenes on Daredevil. They just know it. Anyway, back to the main plot again. Is Wilson Fisk is the master manipulator. He has so many things going. Has so many people in his pocket. Okay, that again, you see all these other characters feel helpless, like Karen, Foggy, Foggy even tries to run for district attorney because he figures if he's public, uh, saying that he's going after Fisk, that that Kingpin won't go after him because it'll be too public to manipulate him. But Fisk has already thought of that. Okay, he already has got his family over a barrel. Okay, that's how smart Fisk is and how he covers all angles. Okay, and it's just a you watch it, you go, oh my God, this is. You think, oh, so you're thinking to yourself, my God, this man he's thought of everything, literally, okay, and he just has plans that back up other plans, which just really, and like I said, he manipulates people. He has people to do the jobs, okay, and there's a scene with and how he gets Agent Poindexter, which really this kind of blew my mind when Agent Poindexter, who was stalking this girl who he worked with in a crisis hotline, and he was kind of stalking her, and he kind of went to her, he kind of asked her out. He went to a place where he knew she worked, and he went to ask her out, yeah, and they go, and then he kind of blows it by revealing stuff about her that he only would find out from stalking her, okay, because he only worked at the place she worked at for 1 year, and she worked there for 3 years, and he kind of blew it, and she kind of ran off because she thought he was creepy and he was stalking her. But see, he was trying to get better, and he had met with her again. She agreed to meet him in a public place, and he figured that she would be his, like his therapist said, his northern light. She could, because she was a crisis, a hotline, suicide prevention hotline counselor. She could talk to him, and he explained to her, listen, I have these moments where I need help and I need somebody to talk to, and she agreed to help him. And of course, Kingpin couldn't allow that. He couldn't let him get better. He had to keep using him. So he basically had her killed in an instant. Okay, as soon as she agreed to see him, Kingpin knew about it, and he had her killed so nonchalantly. It kind of blew my mind how fast she died after she agreed to help him. Kingpin just right on top of it, dead. She's dead. That's it. And it was just to show you the level of manipulation that the Kingpin was going around, that he had all bases covered. Okay, and that's what I said. You felt for Matt Murdock because his character was his back was up against the wall. He was hunted, on the run, and he had to hide out, and because he had police after him, he had the FBI after him, he had Kingpin after him. He had, and his only refuge while he was getting better was in the church, and with, of course, Sister Maggie, who later we find out, of course, I knew this from the comic books because I read the comic book storyline. I think it was Reborn comic story. It's called Reborn. Of course, Sister Maggie was actually his mother, who basically gave him up because she had postpartum depression, and she walked away from him. And even after his father died, and he went to the orphanage where she was, she still didn't make contact, and she still didn't tell him. And Matt overhears that when she confesses, in front of God in the church, that she's his mother, and of course he's devastated and pissed at her and walks away from her. And it's just, again, this show it just plays on your emotions, and like I said, I didn't intend to watch all the episodes on Monday. I thought I could watch them just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and finish it that way, but I just watched 8 through 13 on Monday because it was just that good and that intense. And the showrunners, I say this is the best Netflix show, and hopefully they don't cancel this. But the way it wrapped up, I could see how it would, if they cancel it, it would be satisfying because it wrapped up in a nice, neat bow. Okay, you got a little bit of Karen's backstory in episode, I think it was episode 10. We got a little bit of her backstory, of her and her family and stuff, so we understand why she is the way she is. We got a little bit of that. Okay, we got to meet Foggy's brother and his parents and stuff, so we got to know a little bit about them. And we did get a reunion with, with all the crew, with Foggy, Matt, and Karen all together. And of course, we had the great sequence in church where Bullseye, dressed up as Daredevil, goes to kill Karen Page, who's hiding out from Kingpin, because there's a great scene, I think in episode 9, I believe it is, where Karen Page goes to visit Kingpin for an interview, and she basically tells him, remember in season 1 when she killed his right-hand man, Wesley? She basically tells him, she tries to goad him, okay, and she tells him that she's the one that killed Wesley, and of course, Wesley was like a son to Wilson Fisk, and you could see in his eyes, especially in Vincent D'Onofrio's acting, like he was going to snap her neck. But of course, the FBI was watching that, so they couldn't allow that to happen. They busted in before that could happen. But that scene is played so intense, so cat and mouse, okay? Because first Karen was full of bluster, and then he came back at her, and then she flipped it on him with a confession of killing Wesley, and then you could see him lose it, and that's when he just lost and just set Poindexter to kill, to kill her. And of course, again, Wilson Fisk, all his master plan was, of course, getting his wife back, and basically he was eliminating the competition, and basically telling the remaining competition, you pay me 20% and you can operate, but I'm the head guy in charge, okay? And that was his grand scheme of plan. And like I said, Matt Murdock, he had that hero's journey where, he got resurrected, of course, and healed, and then he went after the Kingpin, and then he suffered, setbacks, and then of course he even got to a point where he agreed to try to, go at, because Foggy suggested go after him a legal way, and when that wouldn't, the legal way, go after Kingpin. When that didn't work out, he said, "That's it. We tried it your way. I'm not having it. I'm killing this guy." Okay, and that even goes to the point where he uses Bullseye to go after Fisk, and the way it plays out in episode 13, there's a fight between Bullseye, Kingpin, and Daredevil with Vanessa watching that just absolutely freaking intense. Oh my, because it's a fight that's going on 3 levels. Matt is, of course, taking on Kingpin, and of course, Bullseye, after having find out that the Kingpin basically killed the woman that he wanted to be his North Star, his friend that he really liked, and manipulated him. He dressed up as Daredevil one last time. He was gonna kill everybody at that wedding, as if it wasn't for Daredevil coming along. So he's trying to So you got Bullseye trying to kill Kingpin, and you got Daredevil trying to stop him, and then of course he's trying to stop Bullseye from killing Vanessa, and then of course Kingpin and Daredevil is trying to stop Bullseye from killing Vanessa, and so it's a fight that's going on like 3 different ways, and it's just it's fantastic to watch. And this show, like I said, this show is, again, hands down the best Netflix superhero show. And again, props to the creator and props to Charlie Cox. I really enjoy his Matt Murdock. That's why I would love to see the show continue on. If Netflix cancels it, I hope Disney, with their new streaming service, picks it up, because I absolutely love the show. I love the cast. I love the showrunners. Please keep this show on. I don't care what you have to do. Keep this show on, okay? Okay, if Netflix decides to cancel it, which I hope they don't, I hope they bring it back for another season, but if they don't, Disney, please pick it up. You own the rights to the characters anyway. Bring it on your new streaming service. I'll watch it. Again, I'm going to give Daredevil Season 3, I'm going to give it a 9 out of, well, not a 9. 9 maybe is too high, because certain episodes were okay, and I'm going to give it an 8.5. I really enjoyed it. I think it's right on par with Season 1. If I have to rank them, I'd go Season 1, Season 3, and Season 2. That's the way I would rank them. But again, props to the actor. Props. I like Joanne Whaley as Matt Murdock's, Sister Maggie, Matt's mother. I liked her character, and I liked the way the issue got resolved at the end. Okay, I like the way that played out, and I like the way that Matt, again, he went on his journey, because like I said, he went there determined to kill Kingpin, but he changed his mind at the last minute and basically told Kingpin, "Listen, you're going to jail, and you're not gonna do anything or else, we're gonna go after your wife." So basically, he had him at a stalemate. He said, "You won't reveal my identity or anything else, but else, we will go after you. Or you won't help my friends either, or else we'll go after your wife." Okay, and he knows that's Kingpin's weak spot, that he will not let anything happen to his wife Vanessa, no matter what. Okay, that's his one weakness, and he knows that. And Matt Murdock knew that at that moment when he told him that. "Listen, you're not gonna reveal that's my secret. You're gonna keep it secret. You're gonna stay away from my friends, or else we're gonna go after your wife." Okay, and that is the way it ended, with Kingpin going back to jail, and they're at a stalemate. Now, Poindexter, Bullseye, he got basically, Kingpin basically crushed his spine, literally, okay? And I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead, but you see at the end, they do like an epilogue after the, and you see him on operating table, and these two doctors are talking about this crushed vertebrae and all this stuff that we can't do this, it's impossible, nobody's ever come back from that. Then at the end, you see his eye light up, and then you see with that little bullseye in his eyeball, which I think is BS. But yeah, so his character is still alive. So we'll see how that plays out if they bring him back. But I think the actor did a fantastic job as Poindexter, aka Bullseye. And so I like the way they had Kingpin manipulate his character and stuff. So his character got a lot of depth to him and stuff. And I love this show. Again, 8.5 for me. Anyway, I know this is a long review, but I wanted to put spoilers in there because I wanted to talk about it. I loved season 3. Absolutely loved it. I can't wait to get this on Blu-ray. I love it. Anyway, 8.5 for me. Anyway, let me know what you think of Daredevil season 3. What do you think of it? Feel free to leave comments down below. And if you like this review, please hit the subscribe button down below. I have links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram, and a link to my other channel called Views and Opinions. Please check that out as well. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.